Hey, what's up? It's Noelle from Country Credits. I'm here with Tracker Johnson, who is the founder of Track Management, his new company. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Is it weird to be introduced that way? Like, did you think that you would be the founder of a management company?
Um, yes,
Yeah.
I have had track management. The joke is I've literally had the checking account, the business account, the domain name, the email addresses, everything for like 10 years. I've always this is what I've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it's really the only thing I'm good at doing. And so I knew that like I was going to have my own management company and so when it all kind of started to happen and you know we got to the point where I was like, hey, look, this is happening. Like it's happening and I'm announcing and we're doing this. And not that Seth or any of them were holding up about it. Everyone was very Seth was great on the transition. Um, I just didn't think he knew how on top of it and ready I was. I was like, oh no, I'm ready to go. I don't need any help. We're moving forward. So
All right. So before we get into all of that, I guess I know a little bit about your background, but for those who don't, you've obviously been in the industry for a while, like 20 years. Touring
yeah.
background, management background, Big Loud you were with, and before that you were just doing things in Texas, right? You're from Texas?
Yeah, I mean, technically, I like to say that I started in this industry in 1998. It's been a minute, and yeah, that was just kind of my start from booking bands to selling T-shirts to guitar teching to monitor engineer to production assistant to day-to-day manager to manager. I was obsessed with all of it. I love the music industry. And I would have done and will do anything to remain in it. And yeah, that was my start back then, forever ago. Being a merch guy really is how I got my start, and just kind of moving through anything I could do. That was just how I wanted to be a part of it. Any way I could do it, I wanted to be a part of it.
So was the merch, who was the merch guy for? What artist?
Corey Morrow. It's this Texas guy. And a lot of people may know him, some people may not, but I actually just um Corey Corey was the start of everything for me. I had some friends that were going to Texas Tech University, and I went one trip. I went up to Lubbock, um, to I think it was called Calf Fry. Yeah, Calf Fry. Jeez. And I went up there for the football game and they had like shows, and Corey and Pat Green were sitting on a couch playing at a house, my friend's house, and I just remember being like, this is awesome. I'm coming from high school. I graduated high school in 1994, and that was my first introduction into music and people sitting around at a party and listening to people play guitar and just kind of being into it. So much so that year, 90, I think it was 95. I might have been 95 that happened, maybe 94, but I had Pat Green sign my like long Dooney and Burke wallet. I had like this really long wallet that sticked out the back of it. It was terrible. But I had him sign my wallet. I didn't even know this guy or anything about it. I was just like, dude, I still have that wallet upstairs. But yeah, and that was just kind of the start for it. And then as I moved back, I went back home, went back to Austin. Corey would let us into his shows on 6th Street. He played Pete's Piano Bar on Tuesday nights acoustic. And I was 19 years old, and he would get us in underage, and I would just sit there and like be
Yes.
enamored with this guy playing music, and so much so that it turned out I was there so much that we became kind of sort of friends, and then at one point when he started looking for a merch guy, it was like, that's that guy. He was always here. I think they thought of me just he was kind of like the super fan kind of guy, and that's really what I was. I was honestly kind of a super fan of that music, of Corey, of Pat, Jerry Jeff Walker, Jack Ingram, Robert Earl Keen. Those are the people that just launched me into the music world.
So then from there, after like merch, how long after that was it that you were starting to get into management?
It's been a while. It's been a while. It like I went from merchandise into a booking agent. I had a friend of mine who uh, booked Corey. Yeah, he was Corey's booking agent, and I was like, I kind of probably need to get off the road. It was probably a better idea to get off the road, and Matt Pivito is his name, and Matt was like, hey, look, I need a place to live. How about I move into your apartment complex, your apartment, and I'll give you a couple bands to book, and I'll pay half the rent, and I'll pay to book these bands. It was like I was like, man, this sounds great. And so I got into this apartment, and he gave me my first two acts to book, and I started booking bands, and I did that for
That's great.
man 6 8 years something, and I loved it. I think it really helped me a lot. It really kind of it lets me as a manager who also books shows from really really low end acts that weren't making any money, but at that point it was fun because we were just grinding it out, trying to make money. And one of the bands, Macon Grayson, is kind of that's who named me Tracker. Was a lead singer of that band. But yeah, he named me Tracker, and but I started doing a little more management for them, tour managing on that end. And after booking Roger Kreger, his tour manager, ended up passing away, and Roger's like, "Hey, I know you've done some road stuff. I know you're working for the booking agency, well, but would you come out and fill in?" And I did. I went on the road and I filled in, and I never looked back from the road. And then I just from there I tour managed Roger and Eli Young band, um,
You
and
still,
then talk to the Eli Young band.
were you in Texas at that point, or were you in Nashville?
Yeah, no, I was still in Texas. Yeah, I was in Texas for the longest time. I yeah, so EYB and those guys, I did like 3 years with them. I did 4 years with Roger. And EYB was, depending on who you asked, a late night in Fayetteville, Arkansas. I either got fired or I quit. And I'll tell you what my story is, but my friend Jordan Powell bought me a plane ticket and flew me to Nashville. And I interviewed for a bunch of jobs, and I ended up taking the Chris Young job, and that was my transition into Nashville. Um, and I did this was Chris right after Nashville Star, I think, soon after he did Nashville Star. And did him for a couple years. It's such a whirlwind. I was Miranda's production assistant. Yeah, then I went back to Texas for a minute,
Okay.
worked with Roger again, went back to Nashville, and I was Miranda's production assistant for a couple years. And then one day, Marianne Kraft called me, and she said, "You are now Chris Young's tour manager again." And I was like, "Okay," and whatever Marianne says, you do. So I said absolutely. So I went back on the road. My first gig with Chris when I went back was a USO tour. We went to Kuwait,
Oh,
and I
wow,
was like, "All right, yeah," which was super
that's crazy.
super fun. I was not sure I wanted to do it at all. I was not excited about going, and then I went over there and I was amazed at everything. I thought it was the coolest thing that um, who people who didn't even like country music. These soldiers were just so happy that someone would show up and give their time. And Chris like has the biggest heart, and he really like went all out for everyone there, and it was awesome. It was like I think we did like 10 days, and we would jump around to certain bases, and it was super cool. And then
I assume you love being on the road.
I'm obsessed with the road. I say that I'm obsessed with the road, but I'm obsessed with the road even more now as a manager. Like
Yeah.
I loved it as a tour manager. It was fun. But the biggest part about now is I get to enjoy a little bit about where I'm at. Like I went to Australia last year with Hardy and Morgan. We went over there and did that tour, and I got to enjoy it because before, as a tour manager, you're walking in the venue and you never leave the venue. And then at the end of the night, you're packing up, you go to your hotel, you fly to the next venue. There is no fun, at least for the tour manager. Some guys, definitely have fun out there, but there wasn't a lot of fun for me on the road. I loved doing it, but it was more about work. And so now as a manager, I can fly in a day early and I can, or, I can, well, this last time is when I went with Morgan and Hardy. That's what I got to do. I literally took in the city, got to enjoy things a lot more. So I love travel more now as a manager for sure.
That's so cool. I mean,
Mm.
I love the road too, but I feel like I give so much credit to the tour managers and then but I mean everyone, the bands, the bus drivers, like these people.
Oh yeah. I mean, you are made for the road. There's people that are like they want to go on the road.
Mhm.
They love the idea of the road, but your body, you're made for it. Very. Anytime someone asks me to like, man, I want to be a tour manager. How do I get on the road, or how do I be a tour manager? I can tell within like 5 minutes if this person is even have a chance in hell to be a tour manager, or to be anything. Just about how they think about the road and what they're thinking of, but yeah, you got to be you're bred for it for sure.
So then,
Yeah.
okay, so you were at Chris Young. So
Yeah. I got a call from Seth England. Chris was weirdly enough, Chris was doing a show with Chris Lane. So Chris Young and Chris Lane were doing a show together. At the time, Big Loud was working with Chris or picking up Chris or something. And and Seth called me and he said he'd like to talk to me about a job with Florida Georgia Line. And I kind of was like, I'm not really sure. I kind of went back and forth on it. And then Kevin Neal called me about it. Brad Garrett called me about it. Brad's an incredible promoter who does Cody Johnson and a bunch of other acts, but he was doing Miranda and Chris at the time. But Kevin Neal called me and Austin's father, and and I kind of went back and forth on it, and I wasn't really sold on it. I wasn't. It had nothing to do with the guys or anything. I just kind of was like, man, Chris was a good boss. Why would I change? I wasn't sure, and it actually was my ex wife who looked at me and she was like, "You need to take this gig. Like these guys are about to blow up." And it was Cruise was happening, like Cruise was, but I just wasn't in the loop on it. And next thing you know, I met with Tyler and BK and Seth and Chief and Craig and Joey. Kind of did the whole big loud thing with Tyler and BK, and yeah, they offered me the job. I took the job, and it was an absolute whirlwind. It was incredible. It was um, so thankful that I took it. It definitely changed my life, put me in all these situations. The people I've met across from New York to LA to Dick Clark Productions to all these people that put on shows, Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel, all the things that we did, the Ellen show. Like I just was now in contact, and I know all these people, from the show. So it was just a very cool opportunity, and it taught me a lot. Working with artists that were at the bottom, they were just starting, and I always say that when I started, we were like two buses and two trailers. And within a couple months, we were two buses and two trucks. And then we were four buses and three trucks, and then 10 buses. And next thing you know, we were on private jets. And next thing you know, I never even touched a bus. We were only flying jets. And it happened so quick. And it was awesome to ride that ride with everyone. And I got to bring one of my best friends, being in travel with me from Roger Kreger days selling merch. I met him 20 something years ago. Like I've known him forever, and he now works for Hardy. So it's super cool to be able to have his name is Jeff Griffin. We call him Bean. But it's cool to have him be a part of my world all the time. And so it's really been really cool.
So at that point, you were like officially employed by Big Loud. I,
Yeah, I was actually it was incredible. I was double dipping. I was being paid by FGL, and I was being paid by Big Loud. So I
that's
would
kind of
spend
funny.
my
It was like a
time.
double. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was awesome. I would spend my time. I would go on the road with these guys, and I would travel. Um, that first year that I was with them, we did like 325 shows. We were gone nonstop. I was gone nonstop,
That's wild.
and and it's funny that in the pro as much as we worked in the first 3 years that I was with those guys, somewhere in the middle of those, they gave me a dog. And that was their gift to me was this dog. I'm like, I'm traveling. I'm with
Actually,
you everywhere. Why would you give me life? They gave me life. And now the dog's my best friend. But I'm so glad they gave it to me. But at the time, I was like, "What the hell are you doing?"
What?
But um, but yeah, so I did that, and then I would go in on the Sundays. Would be like my day at home, and then on Monday and Tuesday I'd go into Big Loud, and I would just be present, and I would be there to help as much as I could. What can I do? And I started day to day in Chris Lane, and I would do Mackenzie Porter, and then I officially came off the road with FGL, and then I became pretty much a straight up day to day. Matt Carney, Mackenzie Porter, Chris Lane. I kind of worked with Chris for a long time, and then Morgan, when he decided not to have his managers anymore, I was like, I'd love to work with you, and I knew him from the road. He'd opened up for FGL, so it was a perfect fit. And Hardy was the same way. When Hardy decided to be an artist, I actually walked straight up to Seth and I was like, I have to work with him. Like, please don't give anyone else an option. Like, Hardy was on the Tree Vibes bus for all these things that we did on the FGL tour. So I knew him. He was just this stoner songwriter that was eating all the food at catering and drinking all the booze in the dressing rooms. That's all they did on the road, these writers, guys. I couldn't stand them, but as a tour manager, I was like, who invite all these writers? What do they do all day?
Right.
But they but then I have to work with them, and that's kind of how I went. I dropped, I didn't drop Chris, but Chris moved on to someone else, and Matt Carney moved on, Mackenzie moved on, and I had Morgan and Hardy, and that was my I had found my place with those two guys, and it was I've since been pegged with working with only certain types of artists, and it's true though. Like, I am you're attracted to something that very well, and I know how to work with people like that. And it's just again, do what you're good at, and I do feel like I'm very good with working with a certain type of artist, and those they fit that go that kind of person. Even so that when Jake Worthington came along, I was like, yeah, there you go, man. Just another kind of like you never know what you're going to get kind of guy, kind of day. But Jake is another one of those, and McCoy Moore is kind of the same. It's a it's a definitely a certain type
I love
of
that.
of an artist. Yeah, for sure.
I think I gravitate towards the same type of artist, and that's why I like really admire what you're doing. And I think, even people like Chief and Seth, and they've kind of like paved their own way and done things a little
Yeah,
different. And I think that it's only success has come from it. But I think there's a beauty to like just doing what feels right and not what's trending or um
I agree with you. The obvious thing that I get all the time is you know you don't have a female artist on your roster, and it has nothing to do with that. It's just like you said, I just know what I work with well, and that's not a male or a female. It's the type of artist. And you know, Emily Smith, who's in my office, if she found herself in a spot where she found a female, I was like, absolutely. Drew, same way, but it's just I'm very passionate about a certain kind of person, and that's just the where I found myself in my company right now. So
yeah, no, I love it. I think it's perfect. I did want to ask you though, I'm just curious, like, so when, and then we'll go more towards your company, but like, so the
yeah,
time when Florida Georgia Line was kind of like making waves in the industry, and people, and I know a lot of people weren't ready for that, maybe, or not receptive to that. Like, how is that? I don't know, like what was that like as a manager in that moment? And then like now seeing like, okay, so if it wasn't for Cruz and if it wasn't for these moments and up down with Morgan and FGL, like I don't know if we would have if that didn't happen then, I'm curious what the country music scene would be like today. I feel like that whole thing like started the shift of like country music changing, getting a little more
absolutely.
thing of different types of sounds and I don't know, I just want your take on that. I find it interesting.
I would be I'd love to have a conversation with someone who thinks that the cruise and FGL um, didn't start a whole new open doors for everyone else that's happening right now. I
Totally.
mean, Hardy will tell you straightforward. If it wasn't for FGL, he would not be here. If it wasn't for FGL, Morgan Wallen wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Wasn't for FGL, you just go down the line. Chris Lane, Dylan Scott, Dylan Marlowe, all these guys have a you watch their show on stage, you watch just what they did, and a lot of that, I mean, a lot of that had to do with Seth and Chief too, like how they put a show together. I mean, Chief's one of the best when it comes to live touring and putting shows together. And so, FGL absolutely 100% changed the music industry for what I think is the better.
Yeah.
It allowed people to make different kinds of music, and that's just what has happened throughout the music industry, whether it's the country genre or rap or rock and pop. It changes,
Yeah.
and yeah, FGO was that for us, and I didn't like being a part of that ride.
Do you even know you were going to be a part of something so big? Obviously, I guess how could anyone know? But
No, I mean, I didn't even want to be a part of it at
yeah,
first. I
sure.
was like, I don't know, I don't get it, I don't get it. And then I got on there, and going back to them, like I remember the first show. Actually, it was the second show. The first show we did, I can't remember exactly what it was, but the second night we go to this festival. So it was my second night on the road at a festival. 10,000 people out there in this small, tiny little festival somewhere, pouring down rain, and everyone's saying like every single word to the EP. And they did some covers, but like it was the cruise. That was it. All they had was cruise out there, or maybe it was a second single, but like I was like, man, this is different. I've never seen shows like this before. People were going crazy at this show. Like that just wasn't a country crowd at all. But those were the same kids that were going to, the other people, whoever else was in a Kenny Chesney show or a Tim McGraw show or whoever. Those people were also coming to the FGL show and losing their shit at this stuff.
It's so crazy. I could talk about this for hours. But like, yeah. And I think there's still like, of course, people in the industry and fans even that maybe don't love where country music is going, but I think at the same time, like it's so beautiful where it's at because there's so much opportunity for like different sounds and true like I guess just more authentic styles to shine and
Yeah,
it's just really cool.
it's music.
It's a little like, trendy, but like aside from that, I think there's a lot of yeah, there's a lot of cool things happening.
Yeah, I think everyone should have a seat at the table.
Yeah.
Now, whether you stay there or not, that's up to you. But like everyone should be able to record what they want, whether it's Chapel Roan putting out a country song. Absolutely, why not do it? Beyonce doing it. Sure, do it. I mean, everyone should be able to make a country song, put it out, and let's see what the fans. The fans are the ones who make the decisions. At
Right.
the end of the day, they're the ones who buy the tickets. They're the ones. If radio was forcing things, they can force things up a chart maybe, but like at the end of the day, the fan is going to be the one who really makes the difference. You Craig Wiseman, I think it's Craig or I can't remember who cut this song or if it's already cut or not, but there's just a line somewhere that's like, you know, 25,000 hands in the air. That's what makes the difference. And it's like that. No, it doesn't lie. 25 hands in the air doesn't lie. And it's true. Like you look out into a crowd and no matter who the band is, I mean, if I'm selling 25,000 tickets in an amphitheater,
Doing something right.
right? I mean,
hmm
yeah, there's a few people I'd like to say that to when they take diss at a few of my artists. I'm like, yeah, well, come to the show. Let me know.
I cannot believe that Hardy's gonna play MSG, and I'm so excited because I'm from New York, so I know what a big deal that is.
Amazing.
I mean,
It's
when I saw that, I was like, that's like next level. I'm so excited.
it is so it's awesome. It's a really cool moment for me too because I did a show there with FGL
Oh,
and
really?
I have a little plaque that's from the sold out show we did at MSG. I have the seating map. Usually when you're a tour manager, you get like a seating chart, a map of the venue, and it tells you all the tickets sold and where the stage is. I have one that's as big as a wall, and I had one blown up, and it's like so it's a cool moment for me to have Hardy go back. Obviously, went there with Morgan, and now Hardy's going. It's super super cool. We have some cool stuff planned that week too. I'm pretty excited about that week. So
I bet. I mean, that's a big deal. Congratulations.
yeah, thank you very much.
So okay, so management, like when you first got involved, what did you like think that you I'm sure there was moments where you're like, oh yeah, I know this, I got this. And then probably looking back, you're like, I had no idea what I was doing. Like, what were some of those hurdles, or what was some of those things that you were like, I thought I knew something and I just had to learn it the hard way or something? I
Um,
feel like it's a
I mean,
pretty
it is like
job.
relationship. It's really the hardest thing about management is your relationship with your artist. It's not the, or at least it wasn't for me. Like it's not the negotiations or the planning and the strategy and the marketing events or talking to a label. It wasn't for me. It wasn't that. It's always the relationship with the artist and in a positive way, like making sure that you're not being um, the dad. I'm guilty of that a lot because I'm a dad, and I keeping it business and knowing when to not get into their world too much, and because the artists are people that every time they turn around, someone's asking them for something. It's, hey, I need you to do this. Hey, do you want to do that? Oh, I need your time for this, and their time is being completely sucked from their life. And so as a manager, you have to be able to know when to that's the hardest part, knowing when to just not ask and not pressure and give them their time. And hopefully, I'm still learning that all the time. There are moments there where I still, Hardy around his birth of his daughter, it's like knowing that it's time for him to have off, and even though there's things that we need to get moving and getting done, is being like, okay, cool, we need to hold off on that until time comes. But for me, it really was it's just it's relationships with the artist, and making sure that they don't feel overwhelmed and pressured, especially by the manager or the other 25 people in my circle that need things from them. So
For those, I guess, that don't really maybe know, could you briefly, I know it's a lot, there's a lot that goes into everything, but can you briefly
yeah.
describe the difference between like a day-to-day manager and then just a regular manager and then a tour manager?
Well, I'll tell you, like, so I'll start with tour manager. So a tour manager is on the road. That person is responsible for managing everything on the road. Sometimes that role becomes more specific to just the two artists or the artist. As it goes bigger, when I started as a tour manager, I was tour managing and I was guitar teching and I was doing monitors. I had a monitor board on this side, I had the vault on this side, and I was still the tour manager, but then I would do all the show. And as the show walked on, that was the EYB band. And I did that with Roger Kreger too. Is that was just part of the gig. But yeah, tour manager manages the tour on the road, not making, decisions with record labels and contracts and things of that nature, but really dealing with the road. And like in Hardy's case and in my case with FGL, I brought on a road manager. So the tour manager at that point handled all advancing, dealing with management, dealing with label on the road side. And then the road manager would be the guy that when the bus is pulled up, Bean walks off that bus and he's handling everything that day. Dressing rooms, making sure things are in order, catering's in order, kind of that stuff. But that's kind of like the tour manager is managing the road. That's their job. And that person reports to the manager, or let's call it a day to day. I I hate the term day to day. And it drives me absolutely crazy because I feel like we're all managers. That is a thing at track management. I will not Emily Smith and Drew Magid are just as much as part of every decision we make for all of our artists as I am. And so I don't want to. I feel like I don't know. I just feel like it's a little lower down, and I don't want anyone in my company to feel like they that's the case. And I'm not saying that that's different. I mean, it's definitely different in other companies, and that's I'm not saying that's bad for them to do that. It's just not how I wanted to do it. So but a day to day is kind of so like how Big Loud had it was you had Seth, who was the manager, the go-to, the main person making the final decision on everything. And then you would have, a little lower day-to-day people that really do a lot of the stuff. majority of the stuff. And then so you got to have multiple people to have to go talk to the artist. You can't just have the same person talking to the artist. So the manager in the day to day would kind of go back and forth on what it was. But the manager, is really the one that takes the final decision, the final call, um, who um, who really is dealing directly, mostly on bigger projects, bigger things. That's how I do it now. Is Emily runs 90% of Jake Worthington. There's things I mean, she has complete power and control over Jake and where things are going. And I have my eyes on it. I know what's going on. Sometimes, she reminds me what's going on certain things. Um, but at the end of the day, I do want to make sure that I'm kind of like, okay, great, that's awesome, but she has freedom to run with that. Um, on Hardy, she handles 100% of the merchandise.
Oh, nice.
I let her run with designs. It's I don't let her. She earned that, but she runs with the merchandise. And then her and I split equally on a lot of stuff on Hardy. She's incredible. Extremely happy that I was able to have her around and to jump on. So and Drew on the other side too. He handles Dallas Smith, and um, he handles 90% of Dallas Smith. And then on McCoy Moore, we're right down the middle on that project. So it really just kind of depends on what building you walk into, on how it's handled. But that's kind of how we do it at Track Management. So
So, so you launched the track management in what was it, January? Or
yeah, I announced December 3rd, I think was the day that was on my. I think that was the day. Yeah, yeah.
so before that, obviously there was obviously there must have been so much behind the scenes that you had to like iron out with Big Loud and
Mhm.
Hardy and everything.
There-
Like, I don't know, do you want to like talk about the process of just starting the company and then like how you
yeah,
got involved and Drew involved in the first place? Like,
Yeah, it was pretty, Seth had made a decision that he was probably um exiting the management world at a certain point. And I knew that. And when Morgan decided to leave Big Loud, I just found that window and I just approached him directly and asked Seth. And Seth, like I said, was incredible to me. And Seth and Craig were both and Joey as a partner too, were just like, absolutely, do it. And the transition was like, hey, I'm gonna take on Party, and here are the artists I want to work with. and,
yeah,
and I laid out the ones I wanted to work with, and and these were the ones I wasn't really wanting to move forward with. And again, I really do mean this, nothing against them at all, it just didn't fit my mold. And so in that world, I said I would love to be able to keep Drew. And I'd already had a separate deal with Big Loud when it came to Hardy and Emily, so that was a they were with me kind of already anyway. So I just said Emily and Hardy coming with me. I want Drew to come with me. Kelly coming with me. And then I will split services with Kelsey and with Jess because they also work on Ashley Cook under Big Loud. And so that was kind of how that worked out. And they were just, man, they were great. They were great about it, and I went to Live Nation and had the conversation with them as well, because we're under a Live Nation umbrella, the management company is. And everyone was super cool about it. And I think the transition could not have been any easier. And at the end of this year, there's no telling what I'll do. I may go completely solo away from Live Nation. I may, stick within the Live Nation family, but track management is will still obviously remain and moving forward. So I just don't know if I'm going to have a partner or not for it. But yeah, it was I was so happy with it, man. And I got to stay in the Big Loud building for the year, so I'm still in the building. We had our own building, the management side did. So, it's the OG building is like the studio and the writers, producers, and then you have the building next to it, which was just management. And then you have the label on the other side of the street. So it's kind of like a campus in that world over there. So luckily, I was able to stay in the management building till the end of this year, kind of get sturdy, get everything settled in, and then and next year. We actually may be moving a little sooner. I'm not sure, but we're thinking about it. But I'll definitely be somewhere new at the end of in January. So
Nice. Congratulations. I mean, I think it's so cool. I love entrepreneurial people and I love that you did that. That's pretty cool.
yeah, I was I was so ready, and I'm excited excited to move into it. It's been I'm even more excited just about like the people I have with me. Kelly, I could talk about each one of them individually because like Kelly, I'm learning every day is so much more useful than just a management coordinator. She did a thing today in our office where she was trying to teach lingo. She was more of a
Oh,
joke to her, I think, but
was it like on someone's story or something? I think I saw it.
I think track management posted it. Yeah. She also runs the track management Instagram account. So, but she's great. She offers so much more. She's helping us with the Crow Records side of things on the management side for Hardy. So she's kind of like the liaison between Big Loud Rock and the management team for Crow Records. And then, like I talked about with Emily, her, her situation with me. Um, uh, is incredible. I just like I said before, I'm so thankful that she decided to stick around and be a part of everything that's moving forward in that. And then Drew, I didn't really give an option to. He was coming with me regardless. So, but and then Kelly and Jess, Kelsey and Jess on the digital and marketing side are just ninjas down there. They're incredible. And I'm so thankful. And I don't know what, as I look at timelines, everything just changes so quick in management stuff. I remember even coming in with FGL and how we would market and how we would look at ideas. And, I mean, Instagram and things of that nature was so different. And we were still doing YouTube, videos that were Justin Ruzick was doing, which were like, Justin to me, who's now with, I think, with Jason Aldean, Justin started that whole scene of recap videos. I
Mm.
mean, that was FGL. FGL started that too. I mean, that whole
Everything. Do they even, I wonder if they know.
everything. Oh, they trust me, they know. They
Yeah.
know.
Because
They're very aware of what they started. But Justin, he I mean, when I look at Tanner stuff, when I look at any of the other guys' stuff, uh, Michael, who's with Luke Bryan, him too. Like those two guys really were the ones that really kind of started that whole scene down there. Um, but Kelsey and Jess now, I wish we could have had people in our management team like Kelsey and Jess back then with FGO because the more creativity that would have come out of and marketing ideas and rollout plans for stuff is incredible.
yeah. I guess it's so different now because things have changed. Like you said,
Yeah,
social media. So yeah.
yeah, social media for sure. Yeah,
What's
yeah.
like, I guess what are your goals, if you can say it, for like, are you actively gonna start pursuing other artists to manage? Do you want to keep it small? What do you think? Or are you not?
Um, I, I think I'll always be kind of a boutique management company. I'm not looking to be a red light. I'm not looking to be, anything other than track management. And I would definitely. I'm always looking. It'd be tough to be in my position and not, be looking for a new artist to work with. There's so many. I'd love to find a way to, you know, collab with another artist on an artist. Hardy and I talk about doing things like that, and or even McCoy or Dallas has got artists in Canada, and I think there's a lot of business that can be done that way too. But along with that, I think I leave that up to Emily and Drew too. Like if there's some way, if they came to me very passionate about something and they felt like they could give their attention to and not lose the work that they have now, then I'd be extremely supportive of them doing that. So, I keep and they know that as well. But I'm always keeping my eyes and ears open for something, and I'm also keeping my eyes and ears open for managers. If there's people out there that I just like I said when we started this is I can tell within 5 minutes of someone if they're going to fit what I have in store or no I have plans for track management and just the kind of personality that I'm looking for in a manager in the building. So whether that's a digital person or assistant or a manager. Um, but um, but yeah, it's I'm definitely keeping my ears open. So there's a lot of good people that bounce ideas off of in this industry, and they're always sending things, and a lot of good friends that throw artists my way. So
That is so cool. So what's like your day to day like right now? Is it predictable by any means?
I have more. I have a lot of meetings. I mean, I feel like it's tons of meetings, and I block my schedule in the mornings from 9 to 10 for email catch ups, and then I block it again at 4 to 5 for emails. So I keep 2 hours a day where I don't take a meeting, and I try to, I would probably say out of that hour that I'm supposed to be in there grinding, getting emails knocked out, maybe 75% of the time I am. And then there's a random question or a random thing that comes on. And then after that, it's kind of nonstop meetings. It's either artist meetings. I meet with once a week, we meet with booking agents, we meet with the publicists, we meet with attorneys. I try to keep every person that's a part of an artist team, another team member, I'm meeting with them. Like with McCoy, we're long form with a major label right now. We're about to sign, and that's going to be a huge thing. And so now a lot of our time is in that and making sure that we're lining up all of those key members and meeting with the attorney, meeting with the label, meeting with the publicist, so now take that and add every single artist to it, and it's kind of
I was gonna
nonstop.
say it's
So
almost like a copy paste situation where it's like the same kind of a
it is.
flow of things just for different artists. Yeah.
Yeah, it completely is. I mean, because every artist deserves equal time. I mean, in the very beginning, it was like, okay, maybe Monday I'll work on Hardy, and then Tuesday I'll work on Jake, and then Wednesday. So you would have to do that, but that's really hard to do. So you start breaking up by hours. How can you jump around a little bit? But then you come into release season. We have a ton of cool news coming up with Hardy. So now we're very Hardy focused, and everything's going focused. But this week we drop a song on McCoy Moore. So now we have to balance that out a little bit. So it's it's fun. Like this is what I do. This is what we're used to doing. So I think if I didn't have Kelly, Emily, Jess, Kelsey, and a Drew, I'd be lost. I need all of them to complete the circle. So
No, I love that. That's awesome. It's cool that
yeah,
it's cool because I feel like everyone was is just probably always on the same page for the most part, which is nice.
yeah. I think it also has a lot to do with knowing the kind of people you want to work with.
Mhm.
I mean, there's this gives me an opportunity to put those kind of people in there that I want. Before I did not have that option. And sometimes you had to work with people that, it was like, okay, they're good people, but it's just not really what I would hire. But now this is mine, and I have a lot of ownership and a lot of belief in these people. I mean, so much so that, one day if I walk away, I would love track management to stay. And I would love for Emily and Drew and I would love for people to feel the pride in the company and be very proud of the situation that we've created to where they were like, we're moving on and we have ownership in this company and we're going to move on with track management. And that's kind of my goal with that is I want my team to feel complete ownership in this company together. And like I said about something else, everyone has a seat at the table. Everyone has an opportunity to talk about an idea. I don't care who brings the idea to the table. I don't care who it is. Bring the idea. If it's a good idea, we're running with it. And it just and that's very important. And I think the artist will see that in the long run, that it's not so much one person saying, hey, this is what we're doing. I find myself all the time walking into a room with Kelsey and Emily, and I'm like, hey, I think we should roll blah 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 this situation, and then Emily or Kelsey would be like, right, but what if it was like, I'm like, oh man, that's such a better idea. Perfect, let's roll with it. They and that's just how it has to be in a company. And no matter how large you grow, it's harder when you get bigger. I totally understand that, but everyone has to feel the same way that's in the building. And right now, I have that. So
Love that. That's so cool. What do you like? I guess just as far as management goes, like I feel like if you're involved in the music industry, you're always hearing about managers, like there's a million managers. Obviously,
Yeah.
some are taking it very serious, some aren't, some are working for very small artists, some aren't. But like, what do you, I guess if you were to describe like two things, it's a two-part question. If you were just to
Okay.
describe like what traits a great manager should have, what would that be?
Okay.
Um, and then also like, what do you feel like I guess what's your best advice for someone that is managing that wants to kind of like really make a career out of it but hasn't gotten to that point yet? Like,
I don't know. I don't know what makes a good manager as far as like, because there are so many different types of personalities of very successful managers.
right.
I think it is a my what my success looks like looks so different
Hmm.
than what I think a few people that you may even know success looks like. I I think you have to be one. Well, there's no doubt about you have to be a workaholic. I mean that is definitely
I will
that
agree
is
with
something
that.
you yeah, that is definitely something you have to be attention to detail. You got to be able to see the details, and you have to be able to see what that looks like in the future on those details. But I don't know what makes what makes a person a good manager because there's just so many different varieties of us, I think. Um, you know, I know what makes me a good manager is I feel like I really care and I'm I think that has won me a lot of battles that I really do want what's 100% best for my artist, and whether that means that we lose an opportunity or we take 6 months off or whatever, that's okay with me. I'm here to make sure the artist feels as happy as possible and is achieving their goals, not my goals. I want them to be achieving their goals. And so that's kind of that's how I've always approached things. And so that's what I think makes me a good manager for sure.
I mean, I think that's like, I think you don't even have to say that. Like the fact that Hardy is with you and all these people came from Big Cloud to be with you, like they know that you have their best interest in mind.
Uh, I
I mean,
hope so.
you're probably a workaholic, but it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. You know what? And an advice, like it's interesting. I don't know how like best advice for someone to be a manager. Um,
If you're asking if
find
like
someone you
manager, no.
do what?
I'm kidding, saying like if you have to ask, do I want to be a manager? Don't be a manager. Like if you have to,
No, I mean, find someone you're obsessed with. Find an artist, and I know you don't always have that luxury to do it, but like um you have to find, an artist that you really honestly believe in and that you don't mind um their mistakes at times and if you find that, then I think you need to hold on and go all in with the artist. I mean, there's been Mandolin is a prime example. I mean, she's been with Lainey, so I mean, I maybe day one. I'm not 100% sure on that, but Mandolin is really found something with Lainey that is incredible. Like their relationship and I feel like if you're a young person that's wanting to get into management and you see something that you're attracted to as a manager, you're like, man, I would like to work with that person, even if that person's not successful. That gives you something to really hang on to, and even though you believe in it, and maybe a lot of people don't believe in it. I mean, there was a lot of people in the very beginning that did not believe in Lainey Wilson, and man, boy, they are kicking themselves now, but Mandolin did, and a few key people around her did, and they just kept going, and I think that would be, that'd be a great thing for any young person who's even thinking about getting into management is yeah, find that person that you're just like, I can really honestly latch onto this and do a million great things for this thing, even if it's not successful, but I'm going to do it anyway. But yeah, I hope I answered your question.
That was great.
Okay,
Um,
great.
no, it's cool. Do you have like a proudest moment and then like something that maybe people just don't know about you or your company that you also would want to share?
Um, my proudest moment. Um, I mean, I've got recently. This year's been really good. Um, yeah, I was nominated for CMA Manager of the Year, which is absolutely crazy.
So cool.
Yeah. It's funny as a tour manager, you rarely get acknowledged. You're the hardest working person out on the road. Some people don't think you are, but they're also not answering phone calls at midnight. But you are. And as a day to day, you're very seldomly acknowledged, recognized. And it was cool to come into a moment that whether it was five people that voted or whatever, it was kind of cool to have my name up there and be a part of a group of people that like, some of the people on the list, Carrie Edwards, Clint, like those are people that I just know. And I was like, I was so thankful to be in that list of people. And then starting track management was amazing. That is, that was probably my proudest moment to date in the industry, is being able to say, okay, now I'm doing my own thing, and here it is, and you know, hang on, here we go, kind of situation. So um,
So
yeah, I'm just really proud about the company, and really excited about what we're doing, and I really am going to try to do things a little bit different as a management company, and try to be very focused on the employees and focused on how we can make ourselves better to make our clients better. And yeah, we do things a little differently over there. So I'm excited about it.
that was the other question. Yeah, like one thing people might not know, I guess, about you or the company, but I think it is kind of just like how different you do things. But maybe there's
Yeah. What people might not know about me though is gosh, when it comes um I don't know. A lot of people know. I definitely have. Everyone knows I have a 21-year-old daughter, but people might not know about me that are watching this. That I am married to probably the second best manager in the industry. But yeah, Brittany and I, it's incredible to have her as a manager too over at the core. When they first hired when Chief and Simon first hired Britt, I joked around and told him I was going to send them an invoice because she had only been in promo streaming. She never managed an artist before, and they hired her to manage bands, and then gave her three acts, automatically, and our two acts at first, and she had never done before, and I was really I really thought that I was going to be spending a lot of my time like, okay, blah blah blah, kind of laying things out. That's how we can do things. But and so I joked around with him like, hey, I'm going to send you an invoice because I'm working double, at this point. But I didn't have to really, she just kind of dove in and ran with it. And granted, she's got Chief to bounce ideas, Chief and Simon to bounce ideas off, and Tracy, who is incredible at that company. And her and Britt go back and forth a ton on stuff. So um, yeah, I don't know if there's too much people don't know about me, but
that was good.
all right, here's a funny fact. People don't know about me. I have a polo horse tattoo on my chest, right where it goes. So that's one thing we'll give everybody.
Why did you get that? Or when did you get
I
that?
got that when I was 16 years old in San Antonio, Texas.
Wow. Yeah.
And yeah, and why did I get it? Couldn't tell you. All I know is about six of my friends got it with me. So and there you go.
Hey, I got it.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. All right, so I'm gonna wrap it. I always wrap up my interviews with three questions, just simple.
Yep.
Favorite place to hang out in Nashville, favorite artist of all time, and then favorite up and coming artist, which is probably gonna be hard for you because you work with up and coming artists.
Yes.
So
Favorite place to hang out in Nashville? Oh yeah, well you can go ahead. However you do it.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, wait, what'd you say?
I was gonna say I didn't know if you were gonna ask the question or if I just need to start answering them.
Oh, you can start. No, I was just gonna say if you want to just
Oh
say if you want to like take your artist off the table, that might make it easier for you. That's what I
yeah,
was.
I will totally. Um, Favorite place to hang out in Nashville? Uh, Lucky's. I think it's called Lucky Threes, maybe. I think is what it might be called. Or I always mess this up, but Lakeside on the east side. I don't go to the east side of Nashville very much. I don't feel like not my vibe. But Lakeside is my vibe. I'm a tequila aficionado. To my left, right over here in my house, there's a incredible tequila room, and they have Fortaleza there, which is my it's a unicorn tequila. You can't find it, but you can find it at Lakeside Lounge, and that is my best hang in Nashville.
Never had anyone say that. Okay.
Yeah, you never had anyone say that? Awesome.
Love
There you go. And what was the other two?
favorite artist of all time, and then favorite up and coming artist.
Favorite artist of all time. I'm gonna have to say band and artist. Band is Wilco. Artist is Jeff Tweedy.
Wow.
I started out listening to those guys, and I have lyrics tattooed on me from them. But yeah, Wilco, Jeff Tweedy,
Nice.
and up and coming artist.
So hard.
Man, I it is so hard because this person is not up and coming. It's up and coming to me.
Hmm.
Like I had no idea about this artist, and I thought I was like, oh my God, have y'all heard of this band, Michigander? I think I'm saying that right.
I don't know if I even know
Uh,
who this is.
Michigander, yeah, Michigander. But Ryan Hurd posted about him.
Okay.
I went and listened to this album, and it's been on nonstop for me. It's blown me away. Yeah. And I'm actually gonna pull this up as we're sitting here
Yeah, because
because
I don't even know
if
how they are.
if anyone is paying attention to this when we do this, this is the band right here.
Sweet.
And that is the album.
Wow.
And it it is incredible. And he's put music out before. He's been around for a long time. I did not know this.
I don't
And but now I'm absolutely obsessed with his album, and I've kind of become a little bit of a super fan to him.
country
So
music or is it like what kind of music is it?
it's rock. It's kind of like this. It's funny. Ryan's putting out an album called Midwest Rock and Roll, and I feel like this fits in that Midwest rock and roll kind of sound. But it's a band, but I guess it's really just a lead singer. It's not really a band; it's just him, and it's super cool. So I encourage everyone to go listen to him.
That's so awesome. I'm gonna listen to him
Yeah,
because I'm curious. So,
yeah, absolutely. You should.
is there anything else that maybe I didn't bring up that you want to talk about, or did
Um, no, not really. I think we covered a bunch of stuff, I mean, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this with me and obviously also to support the people in the company and actually my wife as well. So you've been a great supporter of our world. So we really appreciate you for doing this.
thank you so much, and we will have to check back in maybe next year and do another interview.
Absolutely. Let's do it.